Hello there, my name is Levin Jai and this is News Review. Thank you very much for joining us. Coming up on the show today, a grim indictment to the nation's drug problem. Gambia's multi-million dollars drug industry laid bare drugs worth $121 million. That is $121 million was what was seized in 2019 alone. We have a report on that for you, but also Combo East villages of Basori and Duasu are locked in a fight over land, and the demolition of structures built on lands by the people of Basori on Sunday has landed some people in trouble. Usman Jata traveled to Basori today. We have a report on that, but my big guest today will be Kamara, aspirant presidential candidate. He has announced his intention to be the country's next president. He lives in the United States, currently in the country. He arrived in the country a week or so ago, and he'll be my big guest today. Before all of this, first things first, we will look at what the newspapers are saying. I will begin with the Standard and see what the paper is reporting on today. Their lead story is saying political leaders in Abuja for constitution talks. Suso Foundation unites politicians on national interest. I don't know Alaji Kanyi. That's Yankuba Ture telling the court there. Bakau Kotu fire ambulance is dysfunctional. MFDC rejects reports of camp seizure. I owe no apologies to Jawara. Mass deportation of Gambians could set country on fire. AFCON under 20. Gambia beat Ghana to reach quarterfinals. So on the Standard today, the Gambian political leaders, party leaders and their representatives are in Abuja, Nigeria for the next stage of the constitution talks brokered by the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation. The former Nigerian president made 2 trips to Banjul trying to get stakeholders to agree on the new draft constitution, which was defeated in the National Assembly last September. The Abuja talks are expected to center on the contentious retroactive clause of the 2-term limit, among others. So, according to the Standard, the UDP leader Usainu Dabo, GDC's Mama Kande, CS Dr. Ismaila Sise, Gambia Action Party's Musa Usainu Yali Bachili, GMC's Mai Ahmad Fati, GANU's Sheikh Tujan Hydra, GFA's Research and Analysis Unit Chairman Alhaji Tamsin Jai, APRC's Musa Amul Nyasi, and NPP's Sidin Jai are all in Abuja to meet with Jonathan there. MFDC rejects report of camp seizure. 2 weeks after the Senegalese army released videos of an operation they claim led to the capture of 3 MFDC bases near the Guinea-Bissau border, rebel leader Salif Sajo has dismissed such claims as unfounded. Mass deportation of Gambians could set country on fire. The Manding Network, a group formed to promote Mandinka culture and foster unity among Gambians, has called on the government to make all efforts to halt the growing mass deportation of Gambians from Europe, warning that the trend can cause social instability. So Yankuba Ture also testified in his own case there, saying the former member of the AFPRC junta standing trial for the murder of Usman Koro Sise has told the High Court that he never had any encounter with Alaji Kanyi. Bakau Kotu fire ambulance is dysfunctional. The firefighters stationed at Bakau and Kotu are without fire and emergency response trucks. That's the fire engines there. They are saying that for some time now they don't have one, that both of their trucks are dysfunctional. Let's see what the point is saying now. Police urged to produce PS Banja investigation report. That's the beleaguered permanent secretary there, the Minister of Fisheries. Jame remains supreme leader as APRC grapples with insufficient finance, over 600 communities to get electricity in 3 years. Let's see quickly the stories. So according to top political analyst Dr. Ismaila Sise, who is also the leader of the Opposition Citizens Alliance Party, has urged the Gambia Police Force to produce the investigation report on Dr. Bamba Banja, erstwhile permanent secretary at the Ministry of Fisheries and Water Resources. I don't think he's erstwhile, he's the suspended. He's under suspension there. The PS is currently on administrative leave, yes. So Jame remains supreme leader as APRC grapples with insufficient finance. The founder of Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction, APRC Jame, has remained the supreme leader of the party as the party looks to raise funds ahead of the December elections. So yes, just about it for the newspapers. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. much. So the nation's anti-drugs agency seized drugs of various types worth $121 million in the year 2019, where cannabis topped the list, but cocaine eating more than almost 90% actually of the total value of all seizures, even though cocaine sat second on the list. More in this report. Drug Law Enforcement Agency's 2019 report has been released, and the FATU network obtained a copy on Tuesday. In it, the agency seized over 2 tons of cannabis in 2019 worth $7.9 million. Over 56 kilograms of cocaine was also seized worth $113 million, and it came largely from the seizure of 52 kilograms of the substance from a sugar container imported into the country by Laura's Food Company. Elsewhere, over 1 kilogram of hashish was also seized worth $413,000, even as 1 kilogram of ketamine was seized. A paltry 11 grams of heroin was confiscated. According to the report, most of the traffickers enter through villages like Katong, Sibanor, Bulak, Dimbaya, Omorto, Dasilame, Jalokoto, and Jiboro. The head of the agency, Bakare Gazama, said in the report, "It is my strong conviction that addressing the drug problem is a shared responsibility. While we may think that there is no single justification for young people to use drugs, it is important that we as concerned adults, parents, and policymakers pay attention to the reasons they advance for this attitude. However implausible we find them, and talk to them about the dangers and lifelong devastating effects."
Meet Sarah and Tracy from the top 8 finalists of the Be a Star Sierra Leone. Their lives changed from day one. New original songs. Be famous and successful. Be a star in the Gambia.
The biggest stage right now in Sierra Leone.
Being a part of Be a Star is going a step further in chasing my dreams and my career as an artist.
All you have to do is record a video of you singing your favorite song, not more than 2 minutes long. Send the video by WhatsApp to the following number, 2299944, using an AfriCell number. State your name and where you're from. Be a winner of a fully recorded album and $500,000. AfriCell Be a Star, your road to success.
Welcome back. So, Combo East villages of Basori and Duasu are locked in a fight over land, and the demolition of structures on lands by the people of Basori on Sunday has landed at least 8 people in trouble. Police have arrested at least 8 of them. Usman Jata traveled to Basori on Tuesday, and he came through with this report.
Fight for land have been making headlines around the country, involving different communities, villages around the Gambia. Today we are in Kombo Basori to survey the land dispute between Basori and neighboring Duasu.
This is what remains now. Nearly 5 years of cutting down trees, clearing and setting the land on fire just to be sold to interested buyers. According to a source from Basori village, some people from Duasu village are the ones claiming ownership of the land by demarcating and selling several kilometers of the land to people. According to our source, these men were dealing with the chief of Faraba, selling several plots of land measuring 30 by 30 just for $15,000.
Boli kono mola mu sefodi anara bodo kana ama eso mo mi mu yakuba quality ndiaje kulita favorite tembodo ndelinga itele jalai bawo benintela alkalo banda ama watinding sefo yi tande ko itlewe duwasun ko mamanta ko min kul nenen tambidal no okay bar wo chef do min benunji way kul to nyaani ni faye londi kalakan mo be motel do ku dado okay benni chef do nada wala mu bakar sagnanti ay place o dadro amam me dron aman telal kalo banda nal kalo banda kar saba folo mi fankono dron kar fula kay kar lokum folo mi fankono amang ngakal ndako dosu e commence ta ko wulo kon e be wulo kono jenga kibaro soto narata kata futa sefoma ako ngabula folo bawal kalte mbul folo nal kalo fatal ako be filti la jele okay ngola mo roke bar sefo na stampo mi nyanda dilana curriculum kar fula before recommendation ay nak stampo muta fo kar saba ni bela ko la wulo ko ni da waro da ko al kaltal bu fal sifolo ni wu indi fende hane bu nyawon loje bola jere.
demolition exercise were conducted by some of the affected families in the village of Basori after several months of deforestation and bush burning by the people of Duwasu to be able to continue their land selling business. Most of the villagers lost their only cashew farm plantations, which they depended on to put food on the table for their families, as most of them claimed to be farmers.
Several cashew plantations here in Basori were destroyed and later sold to different people. In retaliation, the people of Basori are now demolishing those buildings, and this is one example of the sites which were destroyed by the people of Basori.
Labanda mi folo ni ko sanga ko bedi jiboro police station la ani mandina ba ni wolwes doro ale molji doro ali afanya doro mbe wol kolle binalal witi bon la jel ama ko be yakuba bulo yakuba atli alo ngaka ko ke nyatile bare ay sinya flasi ko nyim fango duri mbaka tango kono wala do bin nyamul jata wado minna do sun kol say la mol every Sunday ka koda min kundu plot is too much kasiala ploto min ka dia kasiala ikela waya fanantre yabe kundu ka kasul bay ka bumol fixge oh ngol fengara sayim bari war hodal kala kayna fal tengontro al tengo because se foko ngatengo al tengo bije dimba na tabo dimba bota birin dimba bota drong mole fay wulo kon kada wo dimba fale tata yar fay ka dal min jani wala dimba du daga nol kon mo siata kada wo dimba fale o mole manni fan control no ila blal di kata ke bon traje no wala nyim problème bi samana bije ko teke nada ko nyim mandano ndara chef ya ko nga complain diala ako sa madu ngata gofono ya tala kibaro di gofono la gofono en ko man nimbe dara je wala ndefo dara je bar man na dun kono bar gofono bi ne fo ako mi mbeta maka ngalo ne bara alal be al bulo fata dulala mo kana taje do so wal kana taje ba soral kana taje ba sor sita hanwo bar stili tol me fonyo sa woni sa ndema be karifula nyawlo kono tende ibe continue kan kata wo kamal do fana ngaje ko sai odon dolbe siri nyelbe do ko la oto yama sefo man tol dinyi lawan kai dan dilo ko atul tam keno atul kondinale ala do ko na moli akoli yo itandala bari hanwo be amanda ko alim fanal ngata ulo kono nara ulo kono basor be findi dan nara ulo kono ngaje ko na keno le be janu la fan na keno e murunka.
During the past 2 days, some people believed to be part of the demolition exercise were invited to the governor's residence in Brikama to discuss possible ways of addressing the entire situation. However, upon arrival at the governor's residence after a couple of minutes, they were all apprehended and taken to the Basori police station. 8 people have been arrested according to the police. As of Tuesday, 22nd February, the Alcalo of Basori and other important members of the village were equally called to the governor's residence in Brikama to discuss possible ways of ending the whole scene after more than 5 years of land disputes. After some discussions, they agreed on releasing the 5 captives from Basori. But upon arrival, they were told that their people cannot be released. With the Basori people under police custody, the conflict does not just seem to be ending now. We will do more follow-ups to bring you the other side of the story. Reporting for the Fatu Network News Review, Usman Jatta.
Imagine owning a home or service plot, enjoying the sunrise and sunset from a beautiful garden, morning hugs and beautiful moments with your loved ones, the never-ending stories, beautiful memories that will last a lifetime, making and sharing great moments with family and friends. You can turn this into a reality. All you need is a TAF home.
Welcome back. So the nation's political terrain is becoming more and more riveting. Every now and then you will see someone who would come emerge to say that he or she wants to take over as president from President Adama Barrow. So I am joined by Kalilu Kamara, aspirant presidential candidate. I had interviewed him sometime last year. By this time he was in the United States. He has now flown into the country to just about go about implementing his plan there. And he joins me, Mr. Kamara. Thank you very much, sir. And
Hi.
nice meeting you.
Thank you very
Finally.
much. Finally, we are here.
We are here finally.
Yes.
Thank you for coming. I know we had an interview last year. That interview wasn't the best of interviews. We had some challenges, technical challenges. But now that you are here, and thank you for coming to my studio, let's get this done. Then you are Mr. Kalilu Kamara, Gambian based in the United States, who has announced plans to run for president.
Exactly.
I know last year I asked you this question, but I'm going to ask you again. Why did you decide to run for president?
I have seen a vacuum in the system in which we live as Gambians. Most of the time, what other countries do is they have elections every 4 years or 5 years or sometimes 7 years, and changes do happen, and the leadership of the country will change, or if it doesn't change, there is a term where after 2 terms, most of the time, the president will not come back. Somebody else will take over. But that's not the case with our country. We have a history whereby one individual took the country by force and by means of dictatorship ruled the country for 22 years. During that 22 years, I was one of the citizens of the country that challenged him. Based on the records that we have, not being on the ground but traveling back and forth to the country, we have seen the abuse of human rights in our country. Although in the beginning some construction was made from the former Jawara regime. But going back to your question, why do I want to be president? I think I can do some changes in the country. That's why I believe that my experience in America for the last 31 years has taught me a lot of things. That we need forced term limits in our system, in our countries, especially in Africa. And we also need fresh minds that can think out of the box. If you give the baton to the same people, they're going to run the same way because they are here for all that time. So, but being that I have lived, walked, and seen the American system and know why it has become the success it has become, I think I have the wherewithal to be able to bring this country to the potential that it has.
How is your understanding of the peculiar problems of the Gambia like? For someone who has been away for a massive 3 decades,
three decades.
And this is a country when you get to, you realize that there is a lot of problems that this country has since independence.
Exactly.
We've had leaders and still these problems persist. They remain.
Right.
In terms of, in your case, someone who has not been around for 31 years, do you really understand the problems of the Gambia?
Yes, I do. This is what I can say. Most of the time, of the 30 years that I'm away, my first 7 years, I wasn't able to come here because at that time I don't have the green card. So when I come here, I won't be able to go back. So there is a vacuum at that time that I don't know. But after that, I come and spend 3 months or so, sometimes even 6 months in this country. So it doesn't mean that the 30 years that I'm away on some land, you know, like I'm an alien to the country. I do come and spend time. And to know something is different, you have to be in a different place. For example, if you live in a box, you don't know what is outside the box. Unless you get out of the box and go into another box, then you will know what the former box is like actually. So the people that rule the country, especially the 22 years we went through, the people who are leaders, helping the president at the time, are all within the system. So they don't see, even if they have the aim and the objective to change, how will they know? Where will they get that inspiration from? It has to be somebody who is outside the system, who sees the others, and also have the heart to change the country where they come from, to know the intricate problems that the country has. I think the main problem, if not the main, one of the main problems in this country is corruption. Corruption is rampant and it's out of control. So how do we become a country whereby corruption is under control? We cannot have a country that has no corruption. America is corrupted to the core. The people there are people who they will take advantage of you anyhow they can. But the system is there in place that is checking that. That if you are corrupted, you will pay for it. And the system is such that it works. But here, the system does not work. For example, I'll give you an example. During the COVID-19 problem, it is speculated. I should know this, being a Gambian. Exactly. I shouldn't even say it's speculated. Yeah. The system should be there such that when $5 billion came into this country, everybody should be aware of it, where it is going. It is our money. It belongs to us. You, me, him, and the other person. Yes. So we should all know that, okay, $5 million is in. And the parliament should know where it's going to go. But when the money came in, they give it to the president as if though it is a present. And we allow it. So the president goes about spending that $5 billion is anyhow he wants to do. That is an abomination if you think about it. Why would you leave $5 billion of the people's money to one individual who we hire to use that money anyhow they want? That is a problem because human beings are naturally corrupted in a way. Unless there is a checkpoint where they know if right now the only problem that he will have is if he's out of office, then we go to him and say, Mr. President, how did you manage the $5 billion? This is just one part of what is being speculated. We should have the press be free and fair and follow that money. Yes. We should have citizens who have the right to be able to know, especially those who are selected as parliamentarians. They should be able to know where that money goes. But we don't. We give it to one individual. And that individual doesn't have the intellect, the capacity to even run a compound. It's a disaster.
Are you saying the president doesn't have the capacity to run?
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't?
No, he doesn't. I believe that 100% because I see him talk.
But yet Gambians elected him as president.
We were desperate. We were desperate. We did it out of desperation.
But does that make any sense to you?
No. What can we do? We have an individual who is killing
the issue of being desperate to the point of shooting yourself in the foot. Exactly. Does that make sense? By electing or hiring somebody who cannot do the job?
People commit suicide out of frustration, I might ask. Yes. And what we did, we said, even whoever comes after Jammeh is going to be better than him. Number one, we're going to make sure he doesn't kill us, because that was happening. You go to TRRC, you hear what happened in this smallest country in West Africa. What happened here? Yes. It's the worst thing that you can think of. And we were all looking at it happen. So we were desperate to change the situation. I was one of the people who supported UDP and the coalition in 2016 to change. But we didn't examine or we didn't vet who we become leader. We just want to get rid of Jammeh right away. And he promised 3 years, that after 3 years he's going to give power to somebody. So we say, if he gets 3 years, what are we going to lose? After 3 years, we're going to replace him with somebody who we will vet and we will make sure is the leader of our country. But look at what has happened. Now he said 5 years. After 5 years, he want another 5. After that 5, he's going to want another. And after that, he's going to want another. And he doesn't even know how to run a household. We all know. We all know that's the fact. The man is not capable intellectually enough to know how to run his own household.
Now
look at his results. Look at his academic results. His O-level, he's only getting an 8. If what they wrote is true, which should be public record if he wants to be hired by us. The man got passed in only one subject. I don't know whether it was agricultural science. He got 8. He failed everything. Why would we take that individual to be president when we have people who have distinction at grade 6 in their exams? They have the intellect, the ability to have concepts and to make things happen.
So how does the nation, since you were saying that it was out of desperation that this happened, how does the nation go about reversing that?
It's very simple. The way we got rid of Jammeh is the same way we're going to have to get rid of him. If we sit and idle by, he's going to win. He's going to steal the election just as much as he's stealing the money. He's going to steal the election and become president just because he's president. That's not what we need. We need somebody who knows what is happening and who wants to, a radical leader who is going to change what we went through for 22 years. Who's going to reverse
now, in terms of, Gambia's past, we've seen what we enjoyed a dictatorship, and really we have a terrible past, pretty terrible past. In terms of the struggle, you said you supported UDP and the coalition to get rid of Jammeh. As a diaspora Gambian at the time, during the Jammeh days, during the dictatorship days, can you tell us specifically what you contributed to the struggle?
To the struggle. The reason why I couldn't come to this country for that long, from 1998 on to when Jammeh was taken out of power, was because we had a meeting with Jammeh. That time they had what they call the Green Boys. I don't know whether that's the specific name for it. But they were a menace. They were just going from place to place, making menace and abusing people's rights, left and right. So we had a meeting with Jammeh. I stood up. That's just one part of, I'm just giving an example of what I used to do. I stood up and asked him, I said, why do you let these things happen? Why would you kill people, put people in jail, just like we have come to know now? And nobody is able to tell you to stop doing that.
This was in New York?
This was in New York. This is in the records of the GRTS. If you go through, you will find out. I'm hoping that one day I will go to the TRRC to come up to tell them what I went through as a person during the struggle. But I didn't sit idle by. We had what you call Gambia L. If you go to Gambia L archives, you will see what I went through, what I write, what I think should happen in this country. My contribution has been like this. I sponsored myself to go to the United Nations to talk against Jammeh, to show them what Jammeh is doing in our country. We demonstrated, we did everything we could do to offset him. But he had people around him that were helping him. One person cannot dictate the affairs of a whole country unless they have people who are corrupted and who have been given money on the side to support him.
So you're saying
I believe that Jammeh never killed somebody with his own hand. I believe that. He might have. I don't know for sure. But he tells people who are citizens of this country to do it, and they listen to him and they do it. And he's not braver than them.
What would you call that? What would you call that?
I don't know what to call it, because it has happened in Germany when you have the Nazis. One stupid guy like Hitler got up and killed millions of people. It's psychology. It is what we have given that individual, the power we have given him to dominate us. If you're going to give power to somebody to dominate you, that individual should be righteous. If they are not righteous, you're not going to go anywhere. Because he says, by the power invested on me, and quotes some law from our constitution and says, I fired so and so. Even if that person is the hardest working human being on the planet, and his will goes through. So what I'm trying to say is this: we all have responsibility in our country. You are born here, your umbilical cord is buried in this country. You're probably going to be buried here if you die somewhere else. We have the responsibility to change our country. Nobody. We learned that from the 22 years of dictatorship. Nobody is going to come outside to help us. We have to do it. And we cannot all sit aside and say the president, the president, the president. The president is just one individual. Everybody should be involved. if we want to change. This country has come to a point where it is at the base, the least you can even think about, in a big, big hole. If we want to continue next 5 years the same way, we will sit and regret. Somebody else can come and rise and do even worse than Jammeh, because you will see it as necessary. Before that, we should do it in a way. Look at what happened in Mali. Because of corruption, Mali is not more corrupted than Gambia. We can only take so much. The people can take so much. There's a lot of people walking around, if you stop your car outside, begging for food. Kids, 10 years old, not having what to eat. And you're saying that they give this country $5 billion, not 5 million, I'm talking about $1 billion. And it is all gone and we don't know, we cannot even account for it.
That's
just an example.
Yes.
How does our money, how does our foreign currency get spent? A lot of money is coming from outside by people who work in the diaspora. Foreign currency in this country is more than, relatively, more than a lot of countries in the world, because we travel and we go to different countries and we work hard over there and send our money to our families here. So all that is foreign currency. Where does it go?
Now, I mean, you belong to the new crop of politicians, emerging politicians, if you like, in this country.
Right.
But this country has always had politicians, call them the old guard.
Right.
These have been here, these people have been here, and they've been actively engaged in the
struggle,
in the decision making, the political decision making life of this country. As a new emerging politician, what do you, what would be your assessment in terms of the politicians that have been here
for a long time?
For a long time.
Some of them I think they really have the heart of the country. In their heart they want to change, but they don't know how. If they do know how, they would have at this point in time come together, have a way, make a way to come together and get rid of who we have. Because after 3 months of the present regime, after 3 months, we should know this guy is not the person for us. To be honest with you, he doesn't know what he is doing. The guy spends a lot of time sleeping, even in an important meeting. And when he gets up in public, he doesn't address us with intelligence. He talks as if though he is a primary school kid. With all due respect to him, he's a man and he has kids, but he is not the leader that we need to change this country.
Now, let's dissect one thing, because here is President Barrow, but President Barrow was backed by well-versed, well-experienced politicians, the likes of Halifa Sallah, the likes of UDP leader Ousainou Darboe, although he was in jail, but he was still around. You have others. These are, I mean, experienced politicians, OJ, and others.
Right.
These are the people that supported him, backed him, and then he won, he became president. And when he was riding to power, what he pushed was the idea of working with these politicians to turn around the condition of the country. In your opinion, what do you think must have gone wrong? Because clearly, if that were the case, these are people that really, one would say, understand the issues of this country, the problems of this country.
I think what happened is, I don't cut you short, I think what happened is, in my opinion, the old guard was too old. And the new guard that was with Jammeh, the 22 years regime, had taught some people ways to manipulate and they are driven by self-interest. They have learned how to get to power. Whilst the old guard is still thinking about the old ways of doing things. These people are the ones who surrounded him. When they saw the opportunity, they smelled blood and they went for it. So right now, our president is a puppet, not of one regime outside our country, but of the same regime that we had for 22 years. The way he thinks.
Why do you say so? Why do you say so?
Because that's what he says and that's what he does. He hasn't changed anything. Look at the people around him. Where do they come from? They come from the old regime of Jammeh. That's the mentality he has. He thinks as if though he owned the country. And the only difference between Jammeh and Adama is that Adama has not started killing people. But I think if he is frustrated enough, he will be told the best thing to do is to do this. And he might do it. Because he doesn't have the backbone and the presence of mind to stand still and say, this is what we're going to do, this is our vision, this is where my country is going to go, give it, through thick and or otherwise, we're going to do this, and then do it.
Now, why do you think the president backpedaled on the initial plan? Because the initial plan was to work with
because he's selfish.
With the coalition people.
Because he's selfish.
And then now
he wants to continue. He wants to continue his regime. He has become selfish. Either he started that way or he learned to be selfish. That's what has happened. This is my own opinion.
But what do you say to the suggestion or to the argument that the president is a unifier? He wants to unify this country. He wants this country to heal. And as such, you must toe the path of reconciliation, because I mean APRC people are also Gambians, right?
Exactly, they
are Gambians. Keep them out.
Exactly. No, I'm not saying that. Yes. I'm not saying that. Yes. We have a system. We had the Jammeh Commission, and now we have a TRRC to examine what is happening. But we have victims of Jammeh that need compensation. People who are still on wheelchairs. They have been shot to death, some of them, all in the name of our country. This guy is not going to those people and giving them the compensation they need so far. They have been hurt by the state. This is very important.
So you are saying that this needs to come first before...
No, not first, but maybe second. Oh, yeah. I think what we need is to eradicate the first thing we needed was peace. Because nothing can happen without peace. But Gambians are peaceful by nature. If not, we would have been in a brawl already. But our Islam, our Christianity, our culture, our size, and the composition of our country has produced a peaceful people. I believe that if this guy was sincere enough, by this time he will be compensating those people who have been hurt. But who of them has a dime so far? And he goes around and gives millions to people to support him. So he's not looking at the country as if though he is hired by the country as a civil servant, but he's looking at it as if though it is his property. Who is teaching? Who taught us that? It's Jammeh.
Now, even like the political pundits have really struggled. I have asked this question again and again, and I've really struggled to find the answer that satisfies me. Mm-hmm. And that has to do with the idea or the issue of the president saying, "I am a businessman. I am not interested in this job. I am just going to do 3 years and then go back to whatever business that I am doing." Mm-hmm. Only for now. For him now to turn out this way.
Right.
What must have gone wrong to the extent that the president abandoned his initial position?
He doesn't see anybody who's going to do, that's number one, I think. He doesn't see anybody who's going to do any better job than him. If he sees someone that he honestly believes, maybe in his own conscience, he will say, okay, this guy can do better, so let me give him a chance. But he has not seen that so far, I think. All the politicians mostly insulting each other and making a mess out of our media is not going to help. We need concrete actions. That's why I'm affiliated with the Action Party, Gambia Action Party, because I think their philosophy is enough with the theory. I mean, enough with words. Now let us bend down.
Get to the action.
Let us get to the action. Let action speak. Let it be action. But that is why I'm affiliated with them. I'm an independent candidate. But
I know. Sorry for cutting you there, but I know you run under the platform of Gambia Human Rights
Party
group or party. How did that come about? The issue of Gambia Human
Rights.
I'm
a human rights activist by nature, because that's what I do. I believe that human beings everywhere, that's what I believe. And I believe that the power of any country comes from its ability to give this right to the people. America is not America by itself just because it is America. If you look at the different parts of America, the different ethnicities, different races, the complication of America is more complicated than the Middle East. But we are able to maintain peace and give everybody their right. How did that happen? We can do the same here. And once people are able to foster that, the human right is given to people. And that is the goal. We see that they have the right to education, right to food and water, right to roads and infrastructure, health and education. And we see that and economic independence, and we make our activities based on those things, Gambia will be pulled out of the hole that it is in.
Mr. Kamara, you want to be president, but there is a small problem that you will have to navigate first. That has to do with Gambians knowing you. You are not as popular as other politicians that are here.
Right.
You've lived in America for well over 30 years. You are back. A very important year, election year. How do you go? How are you planning to go about that? The issue of you making sure
myself know. I'll go from person to person, and I will go to TV stations, radio stations like yourself. Today, I hope that a lot of Gambians will be watching. You go to the internet, know about Kalilu Kamara. This is my second time talking with you.
Yes.
I hope to do that as many times as I needed to do and get my word out. I believe that there is a lot of Gambians waiting on the fence that want this country to be out of where it is. And we have suffered. It's easier to suffer as a group than as an individual. Me, I remember when Jammeh said he conceded the election, that Adama is going to be president. I was crying in my bed all by myself. So was Fatu Kamara, because that's the only source of information that we had. But you guys that are in this country had a community, so you didn't suffer as much as we did. If wherever your heart is, that's where your soul is. And my heart has always been for this country. And I'm not going to shy away from that. I'm going to fight as much as I can, peacefully. I want to highlight that, as much as I can, to bring this country from where it is. Because I see it with my own eyes. I grew up in Kachang village, a village of about 1,000 people. I lived there for the better part of my early years, even though I come to Banjul and go back. But that's where I did my primary school. And from there I went to Banjul and did my, what we call senior secondary, we call it high school back then, and did Form 1, Form 2 up to Form 5, then up Form 6, lower 6 and upper 6 in Gambia High School. Those people at that time know me, and they are still around. Maybe the new generation may not know me, but I'm exposing myself to them, to know me, to take responsibility of our own country, to say, it is not the president. I don't have all the answers, but I have most of the answers that I ask myself. What am I going to do? What can I contribute to this country? And if given the chance, if I am given the chance, this country will be different in the next 5 years.
No.
If I get the job and I know I cannot do it, I will resign myself. But that will be a repetition of what Adama said.
Easier said than done. Easier said than done.
But sometimes when you listen to somebody, you feel them. You don't only listen to the words that they are saying. You listen to them and you say, this guy has something different. If I know that in myself, it will be wrong for me to stay away from my country when I know I can contribute so much.
Yeah. Because clearly when the president said that he was going to leave power after 3 years, I believed him. I looked at him and said, yes, I believe this man. You know, so you are also saying that if you cannot do it,
right? So I said repetition of the same.
It would be a repetition of the same. Right. But now if you were to be given the country today, this is a country, we have COVID-19, we have an economy that has hit rock bottom. Really, it's a struggling economy. people are living in poverty. That is abject poverty in this country. For example, the economy. Let's narrow it down. I know you will talk about the sectors here and there. But for example, how is a Kalilu Kamara presidency or government, how would that government go about turning the country's economic fortunes? How are you going to grow this economy to the extent that people will get good jobs and people will live good lives?
Right. This is a very important question that you just asked me. What am I going to do to make a change? Number one, food security. People need food and water. That's number one. My number one priority is going to be that. The first day I took office, I will go to the market myself and find out that if I hire somebody as a teacher, and this is how much I'm paying that person, $5,000 is not enough for that person to be able to get food for his family. What am I going to do as the president to be able to, number one, I'm going to raise the pay. The 5 million, I'll keep going to the $5 billion. The it should be spent. I was thinking today that the people in this country, minimum pay in this country should be $40,000 for a teacher. This may be a lot of money, but if you look at things, I've spent
that is not much money nowadays in Gambia.
That's not much.
Yes.
I'm spending 10,000. When I came here, I'm about my second week. I observed myself. I have 3 kids, my wife, my sister, and just some family. I'm spending close to $10,000 a week. So how can I ask somebody to spend $2,000 a week who has bigger family than me? It doesn't make any sense. So people should be, I will give people, every individual a raise. And I will add more teachers. I will add more policemen. We have a country that is insecure. And we have people walking around without a job. Why don't you hire them as security people? And why do you take so long for a teacher to become a teacher? What you know is what you know. You can always teach somebody who is a lower grade than you. I will hire teachers. I will raise their salary quadruple. If it is 10,000, it is not even that anyway. It is a shame how much people are getting paid in this country. There should be minimum wage in this country, just like it is in America, for example. Because you cannot put somebody to work and tell them to work and not be corrupted, and that individual be able to survive on something so small that even a beggar on the street have more money than they do. Why wouldn't they be corrupted? They are human beings. They're not going to eat grass.
They have to eat.
They have to eat
and
food.
Food is expensive.
Food, if it is expensive enough, either they go hungry, which they do sometimes, or they will be corrupted. So now we have corruption. So instead of giving people the minimum wage that they need to be able to survive, you leave them as a chaff on the wind. They become corrupted and they take more. And whenever they have a chance, they steal so much money that they spend it so unthinkably that maybe 10 individuals in the country take all the money. Maybe even less than 10 people take most of the money and use it as they wish. There is no checks. There is nobody is telling. Money is such that is.
Now, let's go back to my question. The question was, how are you going to build the economy, to grow the economy?
Okay.
Creating jobs is one thing, but in terms of, because if you come to Gambia, our context and our climate is a little different. This is a country whose economy relies heavily on taxation. Then, for example, you have agriculture, you have tourism. How are you going to, manage these sectors and ensure that you put the economy?
Agriculture is one adventure that I am. By the way, I got one in agri-science in my O-levels.
You got an A.
I got an A. That's what we call it.
Excellent.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
So my father is a farmer. He's a peanut farmer.
Yes.
And it used to be that in the summertime, in the rainy season, we get 3 months to go off and help our parents when I was able to do.
Yeah.
So agriculture is going to be stressed. And people are going to be compensated by what they have. If you have a bag of peanuts, we call it peanuts in America, but it's groundnuts. That's what we call it here. A sugar bag of, the small sugar bag that you have.
Yes.
You pay $10 for that. That is $500. How much do these big bags that we have, 100 kilos of groundnut get paid? That's why my best friend is now the trade minister. I talked to him privately. I said, you have to change the price of groundnuts for the people. Because the people that consume it, the amount they pay for groundnuts and the amount our people are getting, the distance between the two is too much. Somebody is profiting so terribly at the expense of the farmers. Because all they do is transport it. By the way, I like peanuts. I buy it a lot, so I know. All they do is say, but they refine it. I say, no. Some of them is raw peanuts that I buy. I even took the bag and picture it with the price on it and send it to him to see. He said, okay, I'm going to change the price for peanuts. I'm going to fight for it. And now they are paying a little more, not enough for groundnuts. That is one thing that I'm going to go for. We're going to do fisheries. Our fishes are being captured and being sent to China. I don't know why. We don't have enough fish on the market. Why would you let a Chinese company come here? You think that an African Gambian guy would have a boat in China to catch fish in China and send it to the Gambia? You think the Chinese government will allow that to happen? Are you crazy? You may not even be allowed to walk there. You may take 20 years to get work permission to work in China as a Gambian. Why would we allow that to happen? It used to be fish is plenty. Kobo you don't even have to buy. Maybe 12 bututs, you would get a big pack of kobo. Chalo, among fenge. But right now, people can't, right now, more go function iba adomo la nyame. Among ka abuga muta kamuta la beka bojanga kata. Na fish me along Gambia River is supplying us is being taken ambuga along foreign current eka tamba dame malong. Muna no bekala. Because they don't care about the Gambian people. That's the problem. The heart is not there. Their heart is not in the game. And if you want to score a goal, you gotta have the heart for it. Because there will come people who will tell you, I'll give you $30 million so that I will get the contract to be able to send fish to this country, to this country. You have to have the guts to say no. The people in the marketplace, they have to be at the back of your mind. But malo me mutola problemoti. Anymore because see, they don't have a community where they can come and talk with people. They just do things. In fact, before you chance any company like here to be able to fish, yes, they should be able to call the whole national referendum on it. Because that's where we eat our food. Neither as I know, I went to Tangier twice since I came here. Mm-hmm. And you know this is $600. Imagine $600 is only for fish.
That's just for fish. Yeah.
That's just for fish. And we are getting paid $5,000. Out of the $1,000 that you have, you only remain with $400. Yes. I mean, nobody can. There is fish, but you cannot afford it. Then somebody come and pay you $10 for the same amount of fish that I cannot buy for $600, and then it gets transported to another country. We are feeding China, the biggest populated country in the world, with our fish. And they are doing it. What about Senegal? Are they doing that in Senegal? No, it's not because the president has a bigger backbone or stronger backbone, but the people in Senegal would not allow it to happen. People in the Gambia are getting hungrier and hungrier and hungrier. Why would our fish be transported to another country?
Clearly, you are not a big fan of this government.
Right.
This government, well, if things were things, if things were normal, we would have long gone past this government. 3 years, it would have
been absorbed. Yeah.
It would have been absorbed. But that never happened. It would have been dissolved. Sorry, that never happened. And now here we are. You have a president that has set up his own political party that goes about telling Gambians that he is the deal, he is the man who can really do the job. So now opinion is now split, and he has his charges, his army behind him, who say or who also peddle the same exact argument.
Now, I want to disagree.
Capable.
I want to disagree. You see, I think the concept that the army belonged to him is another problem.
I mean the army of supporters.
I thought you mean the national army.
Yes.
Sorry, I misunderstood you. Yeah, because the thing is, let's say in the U.S., the army is neutral.
Yes.
The army is neutral. Like he said in one of his meetings, I'm the most powerful person in this country because I have the army, that's quoting the president.
Yes.
He said he has the army and he also has ECOWAS behind him.
Yes.
Forget about that. You are not the owner of the army. The army is a neutral entity in the way of things. So that army is there for what the people vote for. They are saying sir to you and saluting you and obeying you and fighting for you because
of the
Constitution. Of the Constitution.
Yes.
Once you are not the president, once the people say we don't vote for you, that's it. You don't own the army. And even if you are in the army, if you don't follow the Constitution to the letter, the army will not obey your command. That's the way it's supposed to be. So there you go. The army too needs reformation, the way they think. Yes. The Senegalese army is one of the best in the world, by the way. But they've never taken over the country. What they do is stand by, and whatever the people say, they just come in and do that.
Now let's, I mean, the issue of the president, him and his supporters saying he can do the job. You have the other side, which you belong, you belong to, saying he cannot do the job. So there is this rivalry of ideas, and opinions.
Yeah, but the thing is, we are looking at facts.
Yes.
After 5 years, what has the president accomplished, really?
Nothing. I think you'll have to answer it.
I think it's nothing.
Nothing.
Basically, really. He has just started some work projects here and there, and basically, people's living standard has gone lower. Everything is getting out of control. When you talk to him, he just goes to the market and buys. They are spending $150,000 a day or so for the said house. I think that should make them be aware, well, if we are spending that much money, maybe things are a little bit too expensive for the ordinary person. But no, I don't know where the blindness comes from, but I think it go back to his capability. If somebody is given the chance to be president, and that individual doesn't have the ability to even manage a house, a compound, the presence of intelligence for that, then there is going to be failure. If you look at this country, individuals are working extremely hard. There is a frenzy of construction in this country. I looked at that, even more than America. People are building houses left and right. Why? Because people are going to end up coming here. The weather and what we have right now, COVID-19, and more is on the way coming, is not compatible with our weather system. Americans are dying like left and right. They will realize that the best place to live is in Africa, and they're going to come.
Now, when you talk about the country, really, and the leadership that you are talking about, that the leadership you think this country deserves, we are in an election year, and you have all, I think you will make it maybe 20, at least 20 politicians who have all expressed interest in taking charge. But you have people that have been here, the likes of Doi leader Halifa Sallah, you have the likes of UDP leader Dabo, the likes of OJ. These are politicians that have the foundation, that have the base. I mean, they have support.
I want to give you an example. This is the same thing. Basically, what you're telling me is the same thing that people told Obama when he said, I want to be president of America. People look at him as he was only a community leader. What in the world are you thinking, brother? I mean, you're black. There's never been a black president in this country. You don't have a dime in your pocket, and you're getting up and saying, but he has the time at his corner.
Yes.
Because at that time, there is a need for someone like him. I believe that at this point in time in our country, there is a need for someone like me. I'm not saying that to be proud. I'm saying that as a fact. Because I've analyzed this situation.
That you can do the job?
Yes, I can, and I will. And God willing, it's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I think God has put everything together already. Because I don't think God is going to leave this country to go the way it is going.
What are you going to do in terms of these other politicians who have...
I'm going to go to them individually, one at a time, and we will make a coalition. We will make a mock government where we will know who is going to do what, who is an expert in what, and we're going to work together with them. I'm going to work together with them, make a coalition, do what we did in 2016, and get rid of this guy.
Is it your plan to lead that coalition?
Yes, it is.
You want the likes of Khalifa Sallah, Dabo, all of them to back you to be president?
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what we need. We got to be frank to each other.
Do you think they will agree to this? Because these
they
are
may not at the beginning,
who are also interested.
But you see the people, yes.
Who are also clearly interested.
You see the people. Khalifa Sallah has only one vote. It so happened in a democracy. So does Mr. Dabo. I talked to him before I came, and I talked to him after I came. They only have one vote. To be realistic, they may have a big name, they may have a lot of followers, but right now, personality politics should be out of our system. We should look at every circle as a new one, and every individual has a new individual. And it's good that we have a lot of politicians, a lot of people from the diaspora and from the country who want to be president. That's very good. That shows that people care and people see that there is a need for change. That shows that. So right now, I'm going to face them. I'm facing them right now. I'm hopefully they are listening to me, that we need change, and we cannot do change by ourselves individually. The party that may have the highest amount of probability to win is UDP. That's a fact.
Yes.
But with NPP, APRC now leaning towards NPP, because that's how the culture is coming up, they're going to have a hard time. But once we all come together as one, we will all have a role in that government that I'm envisioning, and make a change in our country. And it's not going to be based on popularity contests. Of course, they have been in... I
hope this convinces them, because clearly, if you look at the history of this country, it is extremely, extremely difficult for politicians to collapse their own ambitions for somebody else. Yeah. That is extremely, extremely difficult. And where you have someone like Ousseynou Dabo and Khalifa Sallah, it's going to be extremely difficult. Khalilus Kamara will
come and be president.
To lead them.
But you see, that happened before.
Difficult.
Adama Barrow came from nowhere, basically, and what we had before him was Yahya Jammeh. Yahya Jammeh came from nowhere. So if God says Khalilus Kamara is going to be the next president of this country, it is going to happen.
Of course, of course.
And it depends on the people. Really, I'm not looking at those people as the key to my success. I'm looking at every individual, looking at the news, looking at me, questioning me, and vetting me, and knowing that this guy can do it. He says he can, and I believe he can. And let us help each other. I can't do it alone. Nobody can score in a soccer goal by themselves. Look at Senegal team in last World Cup. We have one of the best players by Mane, but we didn't go that far. Yes. Why? Because it's a teamwork. So it's politics. A government that has to be successful has to get the brains of that country. I'm planning to bring back the brains. There was a brain drain here during GMS time. A lot of people who have brains of this country ran away. I'm planning to bring them all back, and we work together and raise our country from where it is.
Now, let's talk about, if you look at the parties, you are saying that you plan to work with the parties. But one party, earlier you mentioned you said you aligned yourself with them. Gambia Action Party, the Musa Hussein Yali Bachili led party there. And you said something which I also found interesting. Has to do with the issue of you wanting to, raise the people's salary to at least 40,000. I interviewed
as a minimum.
I interviewed their leader, and he said a GAP government will at least minimum salary will be 30,000.
I didn't hear that.
Yes,
But you see that.
So that is this.
You see how it happened.
Yeah, that is very close.
Right.
So what impresses you when it comes to Gambia Action Party? You talked about
they're action oriented.
But did you meet
Enough
them?
with the
Did
talk.
you meet them?
Yeah, I have met them today actually. At 10 o'clock today, I met some of the Pajata, Adama Jallo, and Honorable Omar Top. I met with them this morning at 10 o'clock actually. And actually, we discussed the possibility of expanding collaboration between parties. With Action Party being the forefront. The reason what attracted me to them is that they are practical. They are not only talking. I think they can do things. Number one, food security. Number two, water. Every individual should have right to that, and they should be affordable. That's minimum. And health is too expensive here. It just so happened that we have a system whereby if you don't have money, you are not attended to. That will be out. A sick man needs to be taken care of by the community that they are in. I'm planning to do a lot of home care, whereby people will not need to go to the hospital. With the rampant COVID-19 cases, I plan that the health system is going to be home-oriented, whereby you will send a doctor and a nurse to the home of the patient. They will take care of them and help the family to take care of the sick people. So I will reduce the amount of money that people require in the hospital. It will actually go to a point where if you cannot afford it, you will still get paid. You will still get cured if you can.
Because you will come up with a scheme.
Right. That will be in place. That's what they have in America. A homeless person, if he calls 911, he will be taken by an ambulance, he'll go to the hospital. They don't ask him how much money they have. Even if you don't have a dime in your pocket, the community should take care of them. Even dogs that are hurt in America are taken by the ambulance, taken to the hospital, treated, and left. How about human beings?
Now, let's also discuss issues, really. I mean, if you look at this country, it's a country beset by a lot of problems. When this government was coming, they came planning to embark upon a number of things. But let's start here. The issue of Gambia getting a new constitution. That is one thing that has stood out.
Right.
And as we speak at this hour, you have a group of our politicians who are in faraway Nigeria meeting with former Nigeria leader Goodluck Jonathan. But if you look at the background, you realize what happened prior has to do with the issue of members of the National Assembly throwing it out, saying, okay, I mean, there are issues really that they had their reservations about.
I didn't cut you short. If you look at the constitution that we are talking about, it's a derivative of the constitution that Yahya Jammeh put in place. If a dictator put a constitution in place, that constitution is there to foster dictatorship. That's what his thinking is. He was a smart guy. I don't know, maybe he had smart advisors, but he was a wicked guy. He is a Gambian just like you and me, but he just so happened to be that way.
Yes.
And we had no control over what he was doing. We just couldn't control him. But anyway, that's the past. Now we're looking for up to the future. What history are we going to make ourselves to make Gambia a better place? We need a brand new constitution. From the 70s when we got our independence, from the 1965, when we got we had a constitution. That constitution should be looked into and be taken from there, and we make adoptions, in my opinion, to make. We cannot have a constitution change every time a president comes in place to make his agenda. Look at the Constitution of America, how old it is, hundreds of years old. And there is a system that people That's what a constitution is. A constitution should not be changing based on individuals' desire, as you will. A constitution should be in place and be there, and it should be surrounded. It should be, the aim of the constitution should be to give human rights to every individual. That's basically what it is all about. To give people their equal rights and the ability to live their lives and be happy and to pursue happiness as much as they could do.
What do you make of all the wrangling about the draft constitution? Went to the National Assembly, MPs who support the president say, no, we are not happy about this. They threw it out. Now, there is this new process, which has prompted in some of the political leaders, the likes of Dabo, Makande, all in Abuja.
I think there's a lot of confusion there. People actually didn't read the constitution. Some people didn't read it. And they just say, we don't support it because President so-and-so supported it. Or we support it because President so-and-so didn't support it. So it has become more of a political wrangling than actually understanding what the constitution is saying. What we need is a fair constitution. A constitution whereby any Gambian would be able to rise up and make changes, either as an individual or as a group. What we need is a constitution like the one they have in the 70s, that whereby Gambians are treated not with impunity, that power is not individualized, but power belongs to the people and for the people. That's what we need. But we don't have that. You know, so
do you see a Gambia with a new constitution?
Yes.
Do you see that? I mean, just a few months to election.
I think it's going to be very difficult, but I think we can do it. We can do it, and this constitution we have, the problem I have with this new constitution is that it's ambiguous. If you look at if you go online and look at the Constitution of America, as big as it is and as complicated as it is not as the general person understands what they're saying. But it has become a legal document that is so complicated and complex, and people support it not based on what their understanding is, but based on who supports it and who doesn't support it. So it becomes NPP or UDP or CDC, or, you know, it becomes so complicated like that. But what we need is a simple constitution whereby every Gambian can be able to read and understand it and know this is simple. You know, Einstein is one of the most intelligent human beings on earth. But he said if something is true, it's always simple. If you take that from me too. If something is really truthful, righteous, it's very simple. Everybody can understand it. But once they go into complications, you know, this is what we're gonna do, this is, and people can't understand it, you know they're about to be crooked. And that's how this constitution is. Now
also, let's talk about somebody who wants to run this country. One thing also, area that is also very important is the area of security. You will realize that there was an impasse, and then this led to outside forces coming in, and they are still here. And they are still here. A Kalilu Kamara government, what would that government do in terms of addressing that issue?
I think they should stay. I think ECOMOG should stay. I think Gambia should be a simple example of what ECOMOG can do. And we all aspire for the United Africa one day, AU, to be realistic. We have just a print right now. But Gambia has become a success story for that. ECOWAS has done something good. They have helped us get rid of a dictator. And since they are here, we have no conflict. Even though they are expensive and they are foreign, they have been able to adapt to our system. And subtract them from our system, we're going to have problems. Because for 22 years, people have been taught one thing: get it for yourself as much as you can, and don't worry about the rest of the people. And that's what we have in our country, believe it or not. Some people call me, they say, I have 200 people, I'm a Yai company, I have 300 people. Give me $10,000, then you will get all their votes. I say, what a scheme is that? What kind of scheme is that? I mean, that's like you own them, and then you're selling them to me to vote for me. I'm not interested. If I'm interested, I don't have that kind of money, and I'm not interested in that kind of politics anyway. Every individual.
But sadly, this is a country where that is the politics that
But
we
that's
have.
why I told you one
Politics
thing
of
we
money.
gotta do is to teach people that if they want change for themselves, if they want self-respect, they have to be righteous enough to say no to the money that has been given to them. If it is given to them, it is their own money. It's like a group of people come together and contribute some money and put it into this hat. One person we call the leader come and take the hat and get them all the money and just give somebody a little more than everybody else, and that individual supports him. That's what we have. That's the scheme we are working with right now. So what I'm trying to say is that every individual should have the respect enough in themselves to refuse that, to look low upon that kind of thinking. And we should have a constitution. We should have a constitution that should punish politicians who engage in that kind of behavior.
But what do you say in the case of the person who is hungry, the poor person out there, and you are saying that he should reject the money, the poor person?
That's why I told some people, get the money and vote for me. Because I am the one that is going to take you out of that poverty. If you are doing it because of poverty, I can understand. If you don't have food for your kids, somebody come and offer you $10,000 and that can feed them for a month, I will probably take it too. But at the back of my mind, I know this is not the right way. This guy that is giving me this money, it belongs to the whole country. Our Islam should teach us that it's the wrong thing to do. And our constitution is to teach us that's the wrong thing. Our conscience itself should teach us that. So we should say no to things like that and vote for the person that we know is going to bring the change that we need.
But sadly, that has long been the case. The issue of people using gifts, people using money, and you could see in Africa, he who gets more money than you is highly likely to
win an election.
To win an election, of course.
I don't know whether that's true, because this is what I can think. I think when Jawara became president, there's a lot of people who have more money than he did. When Jammeh became president, there's a lot of people who have more money. Actually, I don't think he had a bank account, for God's sake.
No, but Jammeh took up arms.
Yeah, but that's a way to be president too.
Yes.
We cannot forget that in our system. And this guy that is ahead of us right now, Adama, I think he also wasn't the wealthiest person at that time. I think it was the people who got him there. Now it's going to be the people who will get me there. I wouldn't want to be president by any other means other than people saying this is the guy we want to lead us. No, I wouldn't do that. And for Adama to grow so low in the way he thinks and the way he does, to buy people's vote and to do it openly as he does, is a shame. And it should be illegal. He should be punished for that. The IEC should say this is undone and he does not qualify to be president because he's bribing and this is illegal. We should have that in the system. If this was America, he would be in the court. I told the people, some parliamentarians, the best thing to do to get rid of Adama is to impeach him. That's the best way. We're wasting our money, our time and resources, and we have not impeached him. I talked to Dabo about it. I talked to the other Dabo, Bibi, about it. I talked to one very Jete, one lady, Yankuba, about it. And what they told me is that we don't have the votes. But you have to do, sometimes you do things because they are necessary to be done and they can be looked upon for the future. For example, if he is impeached, even if it is unsuccessful, we will know why he is impeached. But we cannot all sit down and look at him destroying the money, throwing it everywhere on people like he wished, just like that, while people are hungry. It's unknown. It belongs to all of us, you know?
Now, one thing also that this country's politics is known for is the politics of diatribe, politics of people throwing whatever ugly comment
they have at somebody,
somebody, you know. What do you also make? Don't you feel afraid or scared that you are going to come and you'll have people, because Gambians, I can tell you, can be very brutal. When they don't like you,
they don't even know you. They will throw stones at you.
Throw all kinds of things at you.
I think I can take it.
You think you have that?
I have a thick skin.
You have the skin to take that.
Yeah, I think I can take it because I have how you call it, studied that in a way, because the thing about that is, it takes two to fight like that. If somebody throws stones at you and you pick the same stone and throw it back at them, you're just the same people.
Yes.
So my intention is, if I don't want to be insulted, I don't insult anybody. And I don't, like the forums that I have, it's about 12 of them. Yes. I always intervene when it's about to happen. Either you are taken out of the forum, because the WhatsApp forums are the one where the drive force is for those kind of things. Yes. But what happens is, in nature, psychologically, people start insulting each other before they start fist fighting. Yes. And after fist fighting, that's when they pick up guns. Yes. That is a very dangerous thing. And what we have no discourse here is tribalism. That's another thing that I'm against. I think it is incumbent upon the majority of the people to take care of the minority. I think so. I don't think that Gambians should say, okay, the Mandinkas are the majority, so the Mandinkas should have everything. I think the Mandinkas should have it within themselves to take care of the other tribes that are fewer in number than them. That I believe. I so happen to be a Mandinka, but that's just because that's how God made me. So
I think you should be the only, I'll have to double check, but I think you will be the only political leader from Badibo. Who will be?
I think there's somebody coming up from Sabah. I heard somebody told me.
From Sabah.
That is also aspiring.
But for now,
I think
you're the
only. I think so.
I'm sure you must be proud of yourself. No, not alone. You must be proud of yourself representing the whole of Badibo. Not just Badibo, but the entire country.
Yeah, I am proud. I think if I look at myself and say, oh, I'm doing this, sometimes I think, am I dreaming? Why would I, want to do this? Why don't I just stay with my company in America and just bring my kids in America and say, but my conscience will not allow me to do that, really. Yeah. My conscience is dogging me to change things here, because I can't enjoy my food on my table when I know there are people in this country who don't have food to eat. And I know I have the capability to change the thing. Yeah.
And I wish you every luck,
thank you,
Mr. Kalilu Kamara. So I think we will, do you have, well, let me, this is something that I ask politicians. I mean, I'll keep asking this as we head into the election. If you are to speak to one Gambian undecided or one Gambian voter, let's say Sehu Sedili, who is watching in the UK, what would you tell that person?
I'll tell him to
convince him. What would you tell him to convince him to vote for me? Yes.
I'll tell him that I'm different. To listen to what I'm saying. I cannot be just saying all these things without the heart behind it. When somebody comes to you, they talk to you, the heart, the image of somebody who doesn't have the conviction, somebody who doesn't have the heart for the country wouldn't be talking the way I'm talking. If you listen to me, take a chance. Don't just say, okay, this guy is new, I don't know him, so I'm not going to give him any chance. But holistically look at what I'm saying, and you will identify something with it. And once you do that, wherever you live in this world, come to the country. Not physically, but pick up the phone and call people. Because a lot of people living in the diaspora have a lot of control over people who live here. They depend on them. If you see somebody who is living a good life in this country, most probably he has somebody outside working and sending them money here. Maybe a few thousand people are living a good life because they are at the top of the food chain in the government, and they are able to steal a lot of money. Because other than that, what other way? Their salary from what we know, it's not enough to afford them even the fuel that they burn to go back and forth from work. That's a fact. So we need minimum salary for people, and we need people to be hired. We need jobs. We need teachers. If we have 100 teachers, we should have 200% teachers, 200% army. And the army should also, we should take the opportunity of ECOMOG being here to change the concept of army itself. To train the army, the kids in the army that go to the army, the men and women that join the army, to have trade, be carpenters, be tailors, be all other things, so that when they get out of the army, they will have something to base on. And they will get good salary in the army to be able to afford, so that they won't go outside using the boats, going to Europe and dying in the back way.
Do you have a final comment for today? I know in the future we'll still have interviews and then go really deeper into the issues. But do you have a final comment for today?
My final comment is for the Gambians. I'm looking at you as a Gambian too. Love your country. Work for your country. Do not let this country to go down the way it is going. That's my thing for the country.
Mr. Kalilu Kamara, thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Aspirant
sir.
presidential candidate.
Thank you.
For Gambia Human Rights, under the platform Gambia Human Rights Party. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That is my guest for today. Pretty new in Gambia's politics, but he's the new man. Call him the new kid on the block, the man who is plotting to cause an upset to really end Barrow's rule and become the country's next president. He was my guest. I'll try to bring him back as we edge closer to the December election. Thank you for being there. That will be that for today. We've run out of time. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, goodbye.